Hello and welcome to episode 57, where we will be looking at a new and ingenious series of game and watches, called the Panorama Screen. The first one in the range was called Snoopy, and its gameplay is identical to that from the previously seen and reviewed tabletop series of the same name. With today's star and focus of this show being first offered for sale August 30th back in 1983, where it is reported to have sold around 250,000 units worldwide. This folding, fully colored handheld was a marvel of design and technology optimization. Given the production code of SM-91, the unit came in a complimentary bright yellow case, which has always been associated with the Snoopy brand by Nintendo. The instruction booklet opens to a brief table of contents, that's swiftly followed by a black and white photo of an open unit showing a representation of the gameplay on the mirrored screen. This is labeled with all the unit's major functions and game's characters. The battery insertion, maintenance and safety, is followed by the detailed directions on setting both the time and alarm functions for this device. The following page has an outline of how to play, which explains that the character called Schroeder is playing the piano, and colored musical notes will drift upwards. The next level up has our hero, Snoopy, waiting on 4 small platforms to knock them back down. This is to prevent them reaching and waking the 4 little woodstocks resting in their nests at the top of the screen. The instructions further explains that there are 2 game choices, with Game Mode A, the easier option, where only 3 rows of musical notes ascend to be knocked down, while Game Mode B has 4. The next few pages use the infographic style of illustration to expand upon the finer details of the gameplay, in a 6-panel, black and white cartoon-style strip. Then it goes on to explain the point scoring and how to lose a life, or score a miss as they used to say back in the day. The Panorama Screen Series of game and watches, made by Nintendo, produced 6 models in total. These were today's star, Snoopy, then Popeye, followed by Donkey Kong Jr. The first new offering was called Mario's Bombs Away, before a new version of Mickey Mouse was launched, and the Panorama range finished up with Donkey Kong Circus in 1984. With each of those units receiving their own dedicated episodes shortly. Today we focus on the game called Snoopy. As previously mentioned, today's gameplay is identical to the Snoopy tabletop version reviewed recently in episode 55. I'll add a link in the description below. Suffice to say, it's a really pretty game, the screen is delightful, and the folding mechanism inspirational, but in all honesty, it's just a reworking of the 1980 Silver Series game and watch called Vermin. In essence, it's what I'd describe as an electric whack-a-mole game, fun, but quite basic. The devices don't have a front-lit screen, like a modern game, but rely on an external light to illuminate the fully colored gameplay via a transparent window at the rear of the unit. This design orientation allows for an extended gameplay with what can only be described as a frugal use of the 2-button batteries. The housing, or games case, was designed to be brightly colored and visually appealing, targeting primarily teen players. Seen here is a brief look at all the 6 games in the Panorama series. From my collection, all are displaying their resting gameplay screens, a sort of advertisement for the game you get to play. As you can see here, the screen is difficult to accurately reproduce in a video as the mirror showing the gameplay often doubles the reflected image, that is not seen with the naked eye. And here's today's star in focus, nestled in with its brothers and sisters. Say hi to Snoopy. The Panorama Screen range, to me at least, is the apex of the game and watch series overall. It's simply amazing. Although these games share a common screen technology with the bigger and more expensive tabletop series, they achieve the same dramatic results, yet in a compact, and almost Game Boy-style case, with, to be frank, some very similar dimensions. And that really completes our brief look at this game. Remember to look back at episode 55 for a more in-depth look at the actual gameplay. So as we wrap things up here with Snoopy, I'll play a montage of photographs from various angles, and I'd ask you to look at that side sliding hinge, because that is the real key to this console, and its TARDIS-like qualities. And although I never owned one back in the day, I can only think that the gameplay, for a handheld, must have been simply awe-inspiring, while remembering, this is 6 years before the original Game Boy was even launched. And lastly, I'd like to do one more shout out for our previous episode, episode 55, as that show shares today's console's gameplay. I'd ask also, ever so kindly, that you show your support by giving me a quick thumbs up, by adding a like to this video, for my hard work, and perhaps you can even consider adding a subscription to our channel. It is absolutely free and very informative. But most of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone watching, for sharing your time with me today.